Please welcome back Noah Baumbach, Emma Thompson, Adam Sandler, and Dustin Hoffman. Keep it going for Adam Sandler and Dustin Hoffman, people.
Hey,
come on.
Thank you.
All right. Whoa. This is a very funky space-age chair, and I could get used to it. It's very, very nice.
Nice, lower than
It's
I
very
thought.
cool. No, I'm going to start with you. You told me earlier on, we were talking earlier on about this movie, and you said that you first met with Ben and Adam, and you came away from that meeting with a couple of notes, one of which was a fist fight between the two of them.
Well, physical
A
fight.
physical fight, okay. And then you had to, did you have to mold the movie around that, or can you
Well,
talk me
I didn't have
through?
to do anything, but I thought that, we talked about it a lot. I mean, I was being, a little glib, but we talked about a lot of things, but it was the idea that maybe they could play brothers, and we talked about, it was wide-ranging, deep conversation as you have with Adam and Ben. But that was, I felt like, okay, well, if I could reverse engineer this whole movie from a physical fight, that might be something that I'd like to see.
What was that process? How long did that take you?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, when you're writing, you're in a whole other, there's so many, a year maybe.
Yeah, okay. And Adam, can you remember that meeting?
I remember it well, yes.
Physical fight came up?
I remember just saying, "Get it done, man." No, I do.
You
I
have 1
remember,
year.
Exactly. I stared Noah down. I said, "Let's get it on, man." No, it was a nice meeting. We sat. We talked about. We did mention that me and Stiller could pass off as brothers because a lot of times in my on the street I have heard, "Hey, there's something about Mary." And I go, yeah, that wasn't me. And then Ben always says when he walks around, sometimes he goes, "Go get him, Zohan." So anyways, we knew we could be brothers. And then we knew this man is, I had no idea the script that Noah was going to write was going to be this incredible. I couldn't believe it the first time I read it.
You would have settled for mid-range Baumbach.
Oh yeah, I would have done a high school term paper that Noah wrote, and I would have recited it out loud, and I would have took the C. But no, it was exciting that it was great, and exciting to be with. By the way, I love Emma, and how great is Emma Thompson in the movie? I want a whole movie about her, Maureen.
She's not actually American.
No.
It's pretty great with the accent there, Emma. It's fantastic.
Thanks very much.
And can you talk about this character, Maureen? I mean, do you know someone like her? Did you base this character on anybody?
No. Noah wrote it, and I stuck slavishly to the script and every note he gave me because I am so foreign. I mean, I am a foreigner, as Maureen is in that family, and I was a foreigner in this family. I mean, look at them. They're all so American. And Noah is so New York and auteur-ish in a French way. And Adam is like L.A. like deeply famous and funny, as well as you can see, the most extraordinary actor. And as for Dustin, well, So I was absolutely yeah, exactly. A fish out of water. But luckily, I drink too. Which was the saving grace. It was my qualifier, as they say in Alcoholics Anonymous.
So the character drank before you came on board? That was just,
of course.
Method drinker. Okay, excellent. And Dustin, can you talk about the same question in a way? Did you base Harold on anybody that you had met or encountered over the years?
Myself.
A lot of research then, yes?
Well, I did do some research. I had talked to a few short, older Jewish artists.
Did you in the phone? Did you look in the phone?
Okay. I couldn't get any new information from them. But Noah and I met and talked a great deal about both our families, and it was interesting that we kept saying things to each other in which there was great similarities between our fathers, and you know.
And would they be things, Noah, that you would then incorporate into the film, or was the script pretty much set in stone by the time
No.
you got casting?
Well, Dusty, though, I mean, the thing about, I mean, true of everybody here on the stage, but Dusty is particularly good at not only questions about his own character, which he has, but he'll ask about the clarity of things in the script at large, scenes he's not in, stuff that he's, about other characters. Will we know this, if that? He's a great, it's just, from now on, I'll send him things even if he's not in them, because he's just a very good, he sees the whole movie.
Yes. Fantastic. Let's take some questions now from the audience. If you have anything you want to ask our esteemed guests, we have roving microphones going around. I saw a hand up immediately over here, and then we'll come to this gentleman over here. There's a lady here in the fourth row. Yes, thank you.
Hi. I have a question to Noah. When you look at your finished film, do you have any regrets?
Are you filming me while you ask this question?
That's a belter. You want to take a second?
Well, here's the thing. I watch it, millions. I build the movie in the editing room, so I'm watching it every day. I'm putting it together. I get it done. I watch the whole thing. I get it to the point that I think it's ready as a movie. And then I don't ever watch it again. So I'm protecting myself from all the regrets that I would most likely have, because you get to the point it's the best you can do, and with this one I felt pretty good. But I'm also aware of, when I see a movie of mine on television, like I catch something or see a little thing, I wouldn't call it regrets, but there's definitely feelings of things I would do differently. But I'd like to think that there's also, hopefully you make these movies when you're ready to make them, and there's something also that's happening that you could never repeat again either. So even if you could improve on things, you also would be losing something, because you're kind of getting the thing that only could happen at that time with those people. Now put that down.
There was a gentleman here in the middle. If you just keep your hand up, and we can get the microphone to you, please. Thank you. Yes. Blue or gray shirt. Thank you.
Thank you. A brilliant film, and I really like the script, and it's just amazing. Got a question for Dustin. Another fantastic performance. I just want to ask you a bit of trivia, really. When Ben went to kiss you on the head, was that really your head, or was it a double?
If you had to guess, what would you guess?
Oh, you put it right back on me. I would say yours.
10 points.
Okay, there's a gentleman here in the front row, and then we'll get to you, sir, as well. Thank you. We'll make the mic people run. There's two microphones. I might get you at the same time. This could be fun in stereo.
Thank you. Yes, I really enjoyed the film. I wanted to ask Dustin about the characterization of the artist. Having grown up with an artist father who was always self-deprecating but always wanting to be the most important person around, which I thought you got the character very well, in terms of him always withdrawing when there was an opportunity for promoting himself, and then afterwards sort of saying, well, I am great and I've got one in the Whitney and so on. How did you get to that feeling? Because there are many people who are artists, but only with the art world as it is, only a few people make it. And a lot of people who are creative. Most of us are creative, but most people who've set out on that course, many of them have to make do with these sort of folk stories that they make up to explain why they haven't got what they think they should have done. How did you come up with that?
Well, Noah wrote it, and
Okay, well, we can ask him as well.
but I think it's telling at the end of the film when, is it my granddaughter? Is that who she is?
Yes.
Yeah, my granddaughter, I get mixed up in real life too, but my granddaughter goes in, with her boyfriend, and you see all of these boxed works of art, and I think each time I see it, that's real life. And one would think that every artist that was told we want that piece, we want it for the Whitney. I mean, it was a celebration. And yet here's all that work, and it's just entombed. So I think that success, and I think that's what, our director was dealing with, was the whole idea of success and failure, which is, kind of accidental. And, we could make a list of the number of artists who were failures in their life. Mahler, Charles Ives, to speak of, musicians or composers. There's a lot of people out there. And what allows one person to, quote unquote, succeed is, I think, what he was dealing with. That wasn't your question, though, was it? No.
That's good enough. Yeah.
No, go on.
And Noah?
Well, part of what the movie is about, too, is family mythologies. How we kind of inherit these, whatever. In the case of this family, I think we always talked about how art kind of took the place of religion, that this was what was valued, and so you have one son who, couldn't pursue his, or capitalize on his musical talent, but he's a wonderful father, but he thinks of himself as a failure. And you have another son who's extremely successful in finance, but isn't an artist, so he feels like a failure. And this is all coming from the narrative that they've been, taught, but it's been more intuited, I would probably think, throughout their childhood. And so, or as Emma would say, your childhood. But so that's, I was, wanted to sort of get into that. And then you have also, of course, as you're pointing out, you have this sort of notion of success and in the bigger world, in the culture and the art world, and a retrospective at MoMA and what that feels like to Harold. I mean, the truth is, and a lot of people, when we've done interviews, sometimes people refer to Harold as a failure, but Harold feels like a failure. But Harold's doing fine. He's worked as an artist. The Whitney does have a piece of his. He's taught for years. We hear he was a good teacher. We hear, this sort of notion of what success. I feel like sometimes people buy into Harold's own mythology, which is what the kids do, in watching the movie. And for me, the last line of the movie is in the scene that Dusty's talking about. The kid says, "That's so cool," because to him it's cool. The Whitney has a piece of this guy. How many people have sold stuff to the Whitney? So he has a thing outside Lincoln Center. He's still promoting his character, as you should.
Yes, please. There's a gentleman here who has the microphone.
Hello. I thought it was a beautiful film, and I thought the performances across the board were amazing. Particularly, I thought the editing was really incredible, and I wanted to know whether those cuts were written into the script, and whether there was improvisation in the performances as well, and whether that was a decision that was made afterwards.
Thank you. Yes, they were. All those cuts were written into the script. The abrupt, and it's something I've done in other movies, but I thought of it in this one almost like like the way you'd use a dissolve or a fade, or that you'd use a a wipe or something like that, a traditional cinematic transition. I was sort of thinking of it that way, of the sort of abruptness of it. But those were all scripted. And I'm always mildly offended when people ask me if anything was improvised, because I work hard on these things. and then I make them say it exactly how I write them.
I make them say it. Did you hear that?
No, they basically, you learn it. But Dusty, you're good about this. Why don't you talk about it?
The Graduate.
Well, I was saying about you, to the way you talk about the stylization.
Yes, this script, when I got it, and when all of us got it, was 172 pages. Now, scripts are usually 90 pages, 110 pages. This film runs about an hour and 50 minutes, and studios usually would count a minute a page. So how did he make this 172-page script into an hour and 50 minutes? And it occurred to me, shooting it, and I think the other actors, is that this movie is stylized. It's not supposed to look like that when you're looking at it, but it's stylized. It has a rhythm, it has a meter, it has when other actors are supposed to come in and take over a sentence before it ends, and it's when he says that, when I saw the Squid and the Whale, I said, boy, you must have had a lot of improvisation. He doesn't have a moment of improvisation. He has this lovely Sasha, this lovely gal that sits next to him, that comes up to all of us with a script and says, that's not a period, that's 3 dots. It's that specific. And I said The Graduate because that's the last time I had to do, as 50 years ago, that I had to do every single word as written. And that's his style.
Amazing. And Emma and Adam, can you talk about that as well? I guess adjusting to that style of acting and that idea of chemistry with the other actors, where the rhythm has to be so precise. I guess rehearsal period was important for that?
Yes. Go ahead, Emma.
Did we have any rehearsal? Did we have a lot of rehearsal?
We rehearsed while you were in England.
Oh yeah, I was here in England. No, you go first, actually.
It was just an amazing script, and you remembered every word of it. And then I said to Noah when I first got the script, and should we? I asked you if there's improvising. You said no. I like to get it close to what's written on the page. So I got the script like 4 or 5 months before we started shooting, and I had a big part. So I just constantly every night with my wife went over lines and did scenes, and it's funny when my wife. Watches the movie, she'll say like, yeah, like she remembers doing that each scene in bed with me over and over and over and over, and she thought I was better in the bed.
But I think it's worth, as someone who also writes sometimes, I'm a complete Nazi. Shut up. I'm a complete Nazi about scripts because it takes years to write a good script, and you can't. Noah's writing is very, very precise. And the rhythms are precise, and those rhythms create character. I mean, that's what we do as actors. We're serving the writing. That's what gives us the clues about who that person is. And we don't just take the script and then go, well, it's sort of like this. And then, that's what's so wonderful about working with an auteur, with someone who actually writes and directs, is you can go up, no, it's so brilliant. You go up and say, is that, and he'll go, just make the tiniest little adjustment, because he knows. He knows the rhythms, he knows who he's talking about. And Maureen is slightly based on your... Okay, we don't have to say that, okay. All right, it was quite interesting anyway. I'll tell you later.
I think we have time for one last question. This lady over here, thank you.
We could do more than one more question.
Yes, working.
We do one more? Yeah,
Dustin likes it up here.
Okay.
Let's keep it going.
Okay. We can do 34 more questions.
Okay.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, well, thank you, Dustin, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Emma, for a truly delicious moment. The timing of the script was excellent. I love the jacket, and given I'm French, I did like the fact that they rant in French against you in that scene.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very funny. So, thank you. The question is for Adam.
Yes.
I'm very intrigued in your choices making this movie. You've had a very successful, I think all of you had a successful career.
Yeah.
Those roles are about people who think they would achieve something, but along the way didn't quite crack it. So for all of you is a choice, even for Emma, being drunken and being part of this dysfunctional family. My question to you, Adam, is your choice. What attracted you in the script? And how did you feel versus an immensely successful career to do a role where you are a loser, in a sense?
I'm glad the point of the movie got across to you.
I love Noah, and I love Noah's movies, and I was excited to work with Noah. And then when he wrote the script and I saw my character, initially Noah says this also, I didn't know if I was supposed to be Danny or Matt. I didn't know. Noah says a lot of people who read the script in the beginning always thought that Ben Stiller was going to be my part and I was going to be the other part. But anyways, I was just attracted to the entire movie, and I loved my character. I loved him as a person. I loved him as a father. I was sad for how lonely the guy was going to be at that particular place in his life, and I was very excited to try to be this guy, and I was committed to being Danny Meyerowitz as much as I could throughout the shoot, and I miss being that guy. I loved him, but I'm just excited I got to be in a movie as good as this guy made.
And sorry, I just need to address the word loser, which is so wrong, I think, about Danny, because he's the one who loves, he's the success, because he's the one who loves his child, and his child is the one who breaks the cycle of shame, and I'm a failure, and she's not ashamed of anything. She's alive, and that's because he's broken the pattern. He's the one who just said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do what my dad did. And that's what's so beautiful about his character, is he is the most successful human in that family because he has successfully loved his daughter and set her free. That's what I get from it.
She's walking out. She doesn't like what you talk to. It's not personal.
Yes, please. They've turned the microphone off. Or have you turned the microphone off?
What?
Do you want mine?
Hi, I just wanted to ask each of the actors a question about, the film has some comedy moments in it, quite a lot actually. I just wanted to find out which one you most liked yourself, to each of the actors, please.
That's a good question.
Okay, I know my one is when Ben's had he's just vomited his emotion at the showing, and then hands the microphone over to Adam really violently. And that's my favourite moment. Do you remember that, when he hands the microphone over and it's just like, because you know he just wants to push it up his nose. I love that moment. That's my favourite.
That's good. Man, oh man, I'm trying to think of one that's not mine. I'm just kidding.
We may be here a while.
I'm just okay. You go first, Dustin. I'm going to come up with a good one. Do you have one?
Yeah, I have one. This film, I think, is a crawler. It crawls, and you don't know whether you like it or not. You don't know what's all this talk I hear about this movie. It's slowly the tide, rises, and I think the first moment that it's hitting a note that is saying something that there's something deeper than what's happening on the screen is when you sing that song with your daughter. There's a deep aspect to that because there's love there.
Right.
And he is, he's the guy that couldn't be successful, but as Emma says, it's everything. I'm always emotional when I see that between the two of you. And I think it's the first time the film kind of, tricks you and lets you know this isn't just a comedy. This is, anyway.
I love that moment. Is that a Randy Newman composition or is that an Adam Sandler composition?
That is me and Noah did that. Noah talked about a song that the family wrote, that I wrote, and I said I had an idea about a song that me and my daughter wrote together. I thought it'd be nice a song that we wrote when Mom and I were together, and then me and Noah put it together.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And have you thought of a funny moment, Adam?
I can't be specific. I like when you drive into the tree for sure. That is very funny, man.
What sets it up is your smile before.
I know. I even love when you walk when we're at the hospital and we come to look for you and you're walking down the street. Instead of being at the hospital with your husband, you're drinking in the bar and stumbling out, and you ask if I'm making fun of you, and it has nothing to do with anything. And everybody in the movie's fantastic. I just love the movie. It is amazingly funny. When I read the script, I didn't know it was as funny as it was. I thought it was a very emotional, moving movie, and then when I watch it with an audience, it's exciting to hear laughs, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
It is fantastic, and that's a lovely note on which to end. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, of course.
Thank you very much.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Emma
you all.
Thompson, Adam Sandler, and Dustin Hoffman.